Go live. Yay. Okay, can you see me now? Everything should be fixed. Tentatively. We have yet to find out. But I have audio now. My video actually works. The internet speed is fine. So it should actually be in HD. And, the latency. The latency was at like 30 seconds before, so when I was trying to like diagnose what was wrong and wait for responses from the chat, it took 30 seconds when usually I have it set to like 3 seconds. So all of those things combined made it a little bit of a hellhole. So anyway, assuming this is working, apologies to anybody that had notifications on and just got 4 go live notifications from me. My fault. It seems to be working. Let's see. I'm checking the stream. Yep. How long is my latency? Okay, latency is like 5 seconds, so. Sick! We're doing it. We're live now. It works. It works. Hello, Bergen. Thank you for sticking through all that shit. There was like 5 people waiting on the original stream, and then everything went wrong. And now it's just you. Oh, boy. But, hey, it works now. Anyway, that kind of threw me off. So many things were wrong. So when I first started the stream, my mic was off, and I was just like talking about the annoyances of starting stream, how you have to press like 3 buttons. Like you have to set a live stream in YouTube, and then you have to press go live on OBS, and then you have to press go live in YouTube. And I was talking about that, but my mic was muted. Unmuted the mic. Is there... Oh, I thought that was feedback. It's just like a garbage truck outside. So I unmuted my mic. I figured that out. And then my resolution was... It's a whole thing. I think I screwed it up myself because I was trying this new method of workflow for... The OBS, the software that I use for streaming, is the same software that I use for recording. And so when I changed my recording settings, because I was experimenting with new ways of kind of filming the videos, I also screwed up the streaming settings, right? So I started... I cropped it to 2:1, which is like the different wider aspect ratio that I use in my videos. And I guess the stream didn't like that. In combination with that, my other issue was that my internet was just hella slow with my router back there. So I tried to restart the router. And what I ended up doing that fixed it, I vacuumed out the router. Because I think I filled it with sawdust. There was so much sawdust in my router that it was like overheating or something. And so I didn't get... oh my God. So stupid. I need to like put it in a spot that it's not gonna get full of sawdust. Because it's right here. Well, usually you can see it. It's usually right here. Right now, I have it placed literally out my window. It's hanging on a ledge. So that it's in theory more out there and blocked by less stuff. So yeah, but it's usually right there. So when I use like a palm sander or a saw, and I'm making a crap ton of sawdust, even if I have, what I usually do is I just open because I have giant windows, I usually just open them way up, run this box fan, and it just blows everything straight out. And with my saw, I have an attachment where it attaches straight to my shop vac, so that makes almost no sawdust because it just sucks everything straight back out. But with the palm sander, it just makes so much, and I think it did like get in the router, which is pretty stupid. We live now. Yay. Okay. Yeah, that kind of threw me off. What are we doing? I'm gonna be talking through this video. It's not very long, so it's not gonna take as long. It was funny last time, like for the review of the director's commentary of the car video. It was so it was like 2 hours to get through the 11-minute video. This one will take nowhere near that long because it's not as complex or deep of a video. But there are interesting things to talk about on it in regards to just the different process. Because I did put this one out a week after that other big video. So like this video probably took all of 3 or 4 days to finish, which is crazy for me. Like that's not my usual process at all. I usually indulge in the perfectionism and kind of tweak every little thing that I think could be made better. And I just spend forever on the same video. So this was kind of the first video that I've put out that feels a little more YouTube-y almost. Like, I mean, it's still very much got my tone and my kind of way that I present things, but it's very different in the sense of I almost approach my other videos like tiny little short films, and I've gotten comments about that a lot of people being like, whoa, this feels like a mini doc or something like that. And this was the first one that I kind of approached like, oh yeah, this is a video. This is not like a short film, right? And so it's very different in that aspect. Bergen, what you saying? I'm the only one you need. I'll send enough chats for 5 men. Thank you. It does help. Those are the speakers. Yep. There's one of them right here. The other two are right here on my desk. I'll show them in a minute. Build your own router. Yeah, I'll just start hacking into Elon Musk Starlink or something with a Raspberry Pi, get free internet forever. Is that a Seiko Monster? Yes, it is. How did you? I didn't even know it was in frame. It's a first generation orange Monster. You into watches? Yeah, I'm a Seiko guy. I enjoy my Seikos. There it is. Will it focus? Yes. OMG, point again, please. I don't know what your reference. I have another Seiko over here somewhere. I don't remember where I put it, but I've got another one of the. It's not the SKX, but it's like the newer ones, the SRPD, whatever. It's like just a simple black and white one. Actually, there will be a video on this watch. I spent like yesterday basically just decompressing from because I had like a crazy 2-week sprint finishing that car video, and then I had a like giant 1-week sprint getting this video out. Like it's pretty unheard of for me to put out 2 videos in 2 weeks, right? And so I spent yesterday just decompressing and scrolling eBay as I do and kind of just ordering some stuff for future projects because I'm realizing like, okay, I mean, I'm not going to be literally posting a video a week, but that's what I'm working towards. Like my current goal in my head is like 2 or 3 a month, right? Like obviously I'm going to miss the Tuesday after Thanksgiving because I'm going to be back in my hometown. I'm not going to be making videos. But I am like looking forward to the next projects and kind of ordering stuff ahead. So this Orange Monster, I bought it for very cheap and it doesn't really work very well. It's a little scratched up. Honestly, the cosmetics are better than I expected from the listing photos, but the movement itself inside is gummed up because I mean this watch came out in what 2001, something like that. And I'm sure this is the original movement, so it's just gummed up. I don't think it's ever been serviced. I thought about taking it to get serviced because the issue with it is the bearing inside. It winds itself, right? So these older Seikos don't have like hand winding. And so you have to wind them by, the movement of the pendulum spins around and winds the watch itself. And on this one, just something about, I think it's the bearing is ground down or gummed up, maybe some water got into the watch. And so it doesn't spin all the way around, so it won't wind itself from minor movements like it's supposed to, which is something that I'm sure I could get fixed by a Seiko dealer for under $100 or something. But you can just buy new 7S26 movements for like $60 to $80. So, and I would like to make a video about it. So like rather than taking it to an authorized dealer and having them fix it, I figured for the same price, I can just buy a whole new movement and get a video out of taking this thing apart, swapping out the movement, and making it work again, and tell a little story about watches and what watches mean to me on the side, because I usually I've got 3 watches now, and I usually buy them after like a big success or starting some large project, and so each one kind of marks a little period in my life, and this one sort of marks this YouTube era of like trying to make this a thing. Got a gold 90s Seiko quartz on right now. That's sick. I do like the quartzes. I want to get more quartz watches. I've tried to get into Casios, but I don't like the plastic ones that look like they're metal. But there's a Casio that I want that's the A100, I think, that looks like the F91W, but it's all actually metal, which is sick. Been looking for an SKX013. Yeah, those are sick. Every Tuesday, you make Tuesdays worth Tuesing. Thank you, man. CSDM here. Got a new account, so you probably can do one speaker mono and place it in center and other stereo. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I don't know how to, though, because the amp only has outs for left and right. And so I don't know if there's a way to wire it mono. I suppose what I could do is there's also a line out that's a 3.5 millimeter jack. And so I could potentially just wire one of them to a 3.5 millimeter header and plug that into the line out, and that could be mono. But what I actually did is, here, let's move this around. This thing's on an arm for a reason. The old speakers are still there, actually. I kept them around because, they still spit out sound. It was just the reason I got rid of, or the reason I wanted to set up new stuff is to pump sound through like the whole studio space. I had to crank them way up, and it just wasn't, they don't sound good when I have them turned all the way up. So I wanted extra stuff to add in, but like these aren't necessarily like, it's fine. Like I can keep them around. So these are mono, and then I've got 2 rights and 1 left. It's kind of funny. I meant to do 2 lefts and a right, because like this one is a right, but it's on my left. So I meant to do it that way. Also, this is kind of fun because now these speakers they take up desk space, but they also don't, because I just put all these camera lenses on top of them. So it's like they don't lose me any square footage versus not having them there. The other one is over here. It's got the couple Sony lenses on it and the Canon EOS M that I made that video about. I've been messing around with adapting big EF glass onto it, where in the video about it, in the video about it, I put all these tiny lenses on it, and now I'm messing around with what it looks like with big glass, because the EOS M doesn't have any stabilization, so I had to post-stabilize the hell out of that footage to make it work with these these tiny lenses, right? But if I use an EF lens that has stabilization in the lens, then it works better. So I've been messing around with that, just trying to take tally of what equipment I have and what it's going to be useful for and everything. I've been rocking that SRPD 77 daily now for a couple years. That's a cool one. You've got like the gunmetal. I do like it. Shop Goodwill and flea markets here have been great spots for Seiko quartz in my experience. Yeah, I actually know a guy that goes like, I don't know if he does it anymore, but he was doing like eBay flipping of stuff, and he was going to all sorts of flea markets and garage sales, and I think he had a couple of good flips on Seiko quartz watches. Now put your old computer speakers in the Tucson. Do the old switcheroo. Yeah, I did get nicer speakers for the Tucson because these speakers didn't sound great in it, which I thought was just because they were junky like stock speakers. And the new ones, like in a vacuum when the car's not running, right, they do sound like noticeably better. But on the road, like when I'm going 70 down the highway, they actually don't sound that much better. Just because, I've stripped everything out of that car. And so the road noise is just horrific. So anything in the low end just gets washed out by the road noise. So I think a project that I'm going to do at some point is buying like a bunch of rubber insulation and just coating the whole inside of the car, insulating it. I might try to do that before winter because it should help with thermal as well, but that'll take the road noise way down. You can buy a cheap stereo to mono adapter cable. Yeah, I think I've got the stuff to do it. I just haven't done it, which I might have to do. Oh my God, everything he says is so hot. Thank you, Bergen. My first, can you make some like edits of me? Like some thirst trap edits? That'd be sick. Just waiting for that, man. If you have 1/4 inch on the amp, they also have 3.5 millimeter. No, it's like wired straight in. Like I just take raw leads, just raw wires, and you just put them in and screw them. Which works fine. I think actually something I'm going to do, I have this old kind of EQ. I got this for $3 at a Goodwill. It's like this old kind of EQ unit thing. I thought I would use it for being able to EQ my desktop audio, but it introduces so much noise into the system that it's not really worthwhile. But it has these cool things on the back. Let me zoom in on it. It has these things on the back, which are like little, you stick a wire in them and then flick it closed and it'll keep it in there, which is way nicer than what the amp has now, where like you stick a wire in and then you have to kind of curl it around and screw it in. So I'm thinking of disassembling this whole EQ unit and just harvesting this box and using this to have an easier hot swap for speaker wiring, because it is kind of annoying to undo and redo them. And also I can get a bunch of good RCA plugs, which are always come in handy for various things. I always have trouble remembering on this lens which way is in and which way is out. I don't like digital focus by wire lenses as much as the real ones. Has he played the speakers yet? No, I haven't, but I can give a demo if you would like. I feel like my color temperature's all wonky, but I'm sure nobody really cares. Let's mess with it. More blue. Sony auto white balance is a little wonky. That's better, right? Not yet. We gotta do song requests. Yeah, so I can sample the speakers, but the thing is, they don't actually sound that good over camera. Like, it's really hard to get like an accurate relay of what something sounds like to your ears over the mic. It's kind of annoying. Also, it's annoying. I use these to live monitor my mic, but if I keep the live monitor on while I'm playing stuff out of the speakers, the live monitor will also go out of the speakers and generate a shit ton of feedback. Let's see, does this thing work? I have this one wired to something else. These old gaming headphones. Audio. Live monitor. Hello. I guess I don't need to hear what it sounds like, but I would prefer to know if it sounds terrible. OMG, play Imagine Dragons XXX Tentacion. That's actually a good bass test, right? Play, I never remember what any of his songs are called, but the Ski Mask, the Slump God one is like insane for bass. It's kind of funny. Okay, I'll play the video so I can show you, but that shot like in the middle of the video where I'm first testing the speakers, and you hear the actual live audio there. The second after that cut happens, when I turn off the synth, because I'm testing it with the synth, right, to prevent copyright and everything. So I just play little diddly doos. But the second I turn the synth off, in that uncut version, you just hear me typing, and then just instantly Chief Keef starts playing. Or no, it's a Millie by Lil Wayne is what I pulled up, and the speakers just go boom, boom, boom. It's like the go-to speaker test for whenever you have a new speaker system. The first song you have to play is a Millie by Lil Wayne. I put about 60 pounds of sound deadening material underneath my headliner in my O2 Corolla. Huge difference. Probably lost like 10 horsepower though. Yeah, I really need that because it's all just bare metal right now, so it's pretty bad. That EQ very cool. The back of my Sansui has those little wire captures like that, very handy. Yeah, it would be nice to have that on the amp. Okay, let's test these speakers, and I'm just gonna have to. I can't monitor what they sound like. It's all up to you. What should I play? Should I play the Joe Rogan Experience? That's the first thing my Spotify had up. I actually don't know what the rules are on YouTube for playing copyrighted material on live stream. I don't know if it'll shut your live stream down, so I actually don't know all of this. I'm kind of scared to do it. Song requests. Give me a song. Chief Keef. Chief Keef is good. Chief Keef. What's a good Chief Keef song? Love Sosa. Let's see if this works.
On light, Jimmy baby, on light, soft baby.
Chief Keef for you, Chase.
No, you're wrong, baby. No, you're wrong. Fake niggas, fake lights. I'm fucked, nigga.
Actually, I don't like this. I can't play it for too long because otherwise YouTube will take me down. It's so damn loud. Okay, I'll stop it. But anyway, at least you know it works, right? Sorry about that, headphone users. What's a good... I'll play a Millie for the bass demonstration. I'll keep it quieter this time. Or I can just turn down my mic. Okay, so the mic is turned down.
Millionaire, I'm a young money millionaire, tougher than Nigerian
I don't know how that comes through on the mic at all because there's also a compressor on this. So like it might totally not work at all. But I don't know, you asked for a demo. I turned the mic down, so that's probably why that one sounded better. But anyway, it's funny whenever I in the video actually came through so clean. Okay, sick. Now I know that works. Just turn down the mic. Interesting. So anyway, this will be a test to see if this stream gets taken down later. If I disappear, let me know. I have heard of that happening, of like if you play copyrighted content, they'll just cut the stream like while it's going. But I think that's more for like larger streamers when like somebody actually clicks the report button or something. I'm not sure. And I've heard of that more in the case of like people pulling up Netflix and watching like MasterChef or something, just watching full uncut episodes. Anyway, actually came through so clean. Play My Man Freestyle by Adonis. I don't know that one. I do not know that one. I reported this, but it's still up. Thank you for the report, sir. Yeah, anyway, that's enough of that probably. Let's pull up this video, huh? Let's talk a little bit about this project. This one will not be nearly as long. Like I said before, last time it took me 2 hours to go through the whole 11-minute video. This one will take friggin' 20 minutes to go through the 5-minute video. Because this one just ain't that deep. Speakers, release candidate 4. Okay, that's a bit loud in my ears. Desktop audio. Okay. Left monitor on. Oop. I had to change all of my resolution settings. So that's really cool. Transform, fit to screen. No, not you. You. Transform, fit to screen. There you go. Now you can see it. Yay. Then which one of these is my... Pardon me. Okay, we'll make this one the face cam. There we are. Yay. Okay, so let me know when this starts if the audio is good.
My studio space is constantly evolving.
How is that? Is it too loud, too quiet? Let me know. Whoa, not that tight. Oh, actually, I guess I can monitor it myself over here. Transform. Whoa, not that tight. Audio quiet. Perfect, you say?
Studio space is
Oh yeah, sweet. It's awesome. Yeah, I wanted a little bit quieter than my voice live. It's perfect. Thank you. Okay, full screen this P.
My studio space is constantly evolving, and over the course
I did the little Casey Neistat zoom
of time through hundreds of incremental improvements, it looks a lot different than it did a few years ago. But as time passes, even through all the change...
I like that little edit. As time passes, as the clock. So as I'm talking here about...
items have stuck around.
A few items have stuck around.
One of those objects, strangely...
I'm filming just random objects that have stuck around for a while. So like this clock is the clock that I used when I was like this is the alarm clock that my parents bought me as a child when I needed to like get up at 7 a.m. for school. So like this is probably one of the longest lived objects that still like has a function in the studio. It was packed away for years and years and years, and I just found it again because like I'm starting to use an alarm clock rather than my phone in the morning, so that like you're not on your phone immediately or whatever. So I like it. It's a little brokey. Maybe I'll fix it at some point.
Even through all the change.
This This is more of a visual demo of like an old object. I don't know that I've actually had this little Porsche that long. I'm pretty sure I found this in an abandoned building in like 2017. This is one of the few like there's this tiny little cubby in my studio space. This thing right here that has like some of the only like purely cosmetic things in my studio. Like most of it's purely functional. Like we have all these tools, which at some point I want to make a little video going through like how I've organized this stuff. But like all of this stuff, you see tape, batteries, drill bits, Dremel bits, all that stuff. This is all various screws. This is various wires, hella spray paint, random other stuff over here in these boxes. Fabric dyes, paints, but these things are some of the only cosmetic stuff. Little Lego man, little cars, cast model from Dr. Doomtone. And down here I have some other stuff that isn't purely functional. Monopoly. This is like an old Monopoly from, actually let's pull it out and see. How old is this thing? Well, I'm going to cause a whole avalanche by pulling this out. Monopoly. Let's see. Okay, now which one of these is correct? This one. Very old Monopoly. This is from my great aunt. Copyright 1954. I wonder if this is like valuable actually. All the old money. Marvin Gardens. So this is what these look like. Oh, too much light. And I've got the very old like wooden houses and stuff. This is a hell of a tangent to be going on, but just in the aspect of talking about old things from my studio. And these are what the players look like, I guess. These guys. So it's actually pretty cool. But yeah, these are one of the few objects in my studio that aren't like purely functional. There's just that little shelf for kind of sentimental things and cool stuff for display, which will eventually, I'm going to do a video soon reorganizing this whole, I'm going to rebuild a whole wall basically, because currently how all of this stuff is set up is like, it's just old furniture stacked on top of old furniture. And so it's a little jank. So before I move out of this place in Cleveland, I'm going to make a video of kind of tearing all of this stuff down and making dedicated shelves that actually aren't like precariously stacked on top of each other. Okay, back to the video.
But as time passes, even through all the change, a few items have stuck around. One of those objects, strangely enough,
one day I'll have Monopoly money. I love tabletop games. You should make one. Oh boy, you're in for a treat, brother. It's almost like you know something that everybody else doesn't know. Tabletop gaming. Oh yeah, it's happening.
My desktop speakers.
Check it out. I found the same ones on eBay. Windows 95 compatible.
Windows 95.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the speakers, I guess I didn't explicitly say it in the video, but the speakers are older than me. The computer that I started like my setup on, that I was like first making videos on when I was like 13, with the Canon PowerShot. This guy. When I was making videos on this thing back in 2013 or whatever, these speakers were part of that like home computer that was just like the family computer. Back in the good old days of family computers before each kid had their own iPad or whatever they do now. So these were like the family computer, and then eventually my dad built more computer setups for everybody to be able to kind of game on their own, and we could play Minecraft with each other. And these speakers were on that computer that became my computer, and over the course of time I kind of put my own parts into that thing, and it's slowly kind of Ship of Theseus, that family computer from 2001 that I played friggin' Sesame Street Learn to Spell games on, got Ship of Theseus into my current setup. And these speakers are the only things that have survived from that whole experience.
For today is to upgrade the speaker setup, but I'm going to utilize some things I already have laying around. A few months ago I replaced the speakers in my car with some aftermarket ones, so I still have the factory set, and my theory is that I can make some nice little bookshelf speakers out of these.
Little thing that got cut from this, the thing I'm setting them on top of there is actually like a big old tower speaker that I found on the side of the road. But it was raining when I picked it up, so I don't know if it actually works, and the speaker's in terrible condition. So I didn't even bother like trying to wire it up, but I might take the subwoofer from that tower speaker and put it in my car. But originally that was going to be part of this video. I was messing around with that, but then after I got further in it and I started making these speakers, I felt like, okay, this story feels like fleshed out enough with these things. I don't need to add another whole third storyline on top of it or whatever.
They all still work, except for the one that doesn't work. Sometimes it's fun to just set out on a project with no real plan and figure things out along the way.
Little cameo of the mini Tucson truck back there.
I don't know if this is going to work, and I definitely don't know what my creation's going to look like at the end of all this. The first step to this project...
I love the ambient synth pad. I was messing around with this in this video that I haven't really done in other videos before, is like composing my own little synth pad. The last 3 or 4 videos since I got the synth, I've been like producing stuff for my own videos, right? But it's mostly been just kind of Van Neistat style, ding, dong, like on the cuts. I play a little tone, or just like a simple repeating melody, like just a simple, composure to soundtrack the video. But this was the first one where I tried to make like this ambient pad that's just kind of this like just a kind of relaxing thing behind it without any specific tempo or melody, which I'm actually kind of liking that process, right? Because it's like when there's not a melody or a tempo, I don't have to worry about cutting on the beat. Because when you've got video and voiceover and music, right, then you've got so much stuff to keep in time or else it'll feel off. So like the cuts of the video have to be on time, and sort of the pace of the voiceover, your pauses have to be sort of in time. So it's this whole mess that honestly takes a while to like figure out perfectly. And so editing and voiceovering over an ambient pad with no tempo is like so much more relaxing just in the video production itself. And I think that comes through when you watch it as well, is like I can be a little more relaxed and I can dive into tangents a little more, and because I'm not restricting my speech to a certain tempo, right? Which is I think also why like this video came off like more, there was maybe 1 or 2 like funny moments in this one where I'm just a little more goofy, and that usually doesn't happen in my more put together videos, just because they are edited more like a short documentary or a short film or something, where all of that stuff gets optimized out. Your background music with this heavenly reverb sounds really cool. Thank you. Yeah. I'm liking the process. I'm going to try it more on the next couple videos, but we'll see if people get sick of it or if I get sick of it. It's probably something I'll come and go from or use sparingly, but
to this project is going to be wiring up the speakers to see if I can get them to make sound at all. Luckily, basic audio...
This is a shoebox, like this cool pull-out shoebox that I was like, hey, this is built well. I can use this for something. Unlike the mini Tucson parts box here is in a 10 to 18 Sony box. Like I just reuse all these boxes for
Video wiring
stuff.
is pretty simple, just positive and negative. Although I don't have a real plan here, I'm optimistic. Projects like this are a lot of fun. A certain level of...
This shot, this is so in the weeds, but I don't know, maybe it's a tip people will find useful if they're making their own videos. So I had this shot, right, of I wanted me in the frame a little bit, and I'm soldering.
Are a lot of fun.
And then I wanted to cut to where there's actually smoke, but I didn't like the jump cut, just with the same framing. And also my head was in like a weirder position, like, because I'm sort of on the edge of the frame here, so this looks fine, but on this cut it didn't. So what I did is I zoomed in, but if you just zoom in, sometimes it looks like fake and it looks like obviously you cropped in. So what I did with this is I darkened it a little bit, which is like a little subconscious thing of like, usually when you zoom in more, a longer focal length lens is slightly darker. It's so in the weeds, I'm sure nobody cares, but yeah, I made it slightly darker and warped it to the side a little bit, so this makes you think it's a different shot, even though it's actually the same shot.
Level of uncertainty makes the product that much more satisfying when you complete it. Now, to actually...
This box with the amp was sitting under my workbench here for like literally 3 months. This is another case of my...
Get the speakers to put out sound, I'm gonna need an
I talked about this in my last live stream of... because on that box of the mini Tucson, I wrote on it, "Do not open until video," and I did the same for this one. So this box has been under my table for 2 or 3 months, and I do that just to like savor myself the like dopamine kick of. So when I purchase something, I don't immediately like get a dopamine kick of buying it, or like immediately unboxing it. I have to save that for like when I make the video, so that I don't allow myself to like experience the joy of unboxing a thing I just bought, I guess, until I actually start filming the thing that I've used it for. So this was unboxed for a long time. What focal length do you often use during filming? I think like 95% of the runtime of this video was on the same lens that Sony, it's the same one I'm using right now actually, Sony f4 10 to 18, or I keep saying 10 to 18, 18 to 105. 10 to 18 is the wider one. So I think for one shot in this video, I'll tell you which one when we get there, I switched to the 10 to 18. And then for these top-down shots, it's my, back here, the A6600, which I can actually switch to because it's already set up on the software. That one is on a Canon 16 to 35, sometimes a 24 to 105. So almost always it's this lens, 18 to 105, because that does like all of everything I'll ever need. Most of the time, like when I'm working at the desk, I try to be zoomed in a lot. So this is not like close. This shot could have been done with closer to the subject and at a wider angle, but I think things tend to look better when I move the camera back. Like I'm in a small room, but I move it back as far as I can. It's usually like 6 feet away from the subject, and then I zoom in. So this might have been at, a 60 millimeter or something like that. Basically everything I shoot as far away from the subject as I can and zoom in to where I want to be, because I just feel like that looks better typically.
It doesn't put out enough power to actually drive the speakers, which is why my old set plugs into the wall.
That shot was a pain to get with the autofocus, and I did a little adjustment layer where it gets darker because this was significantly dark. This needed to be amped up more than this did. So as that autofocus happens, the adjustment layer fades out and it gets darker.
Set plugs into the wall. The car units don't have a built-in amp, so that's where this comes in. It amplifies those data signals with some components.
This amp is actually like remarkably well made. If you're looking to do setup like this, I would totally recommend this thing. It's the Duke Audio ST01 Pro. It's available under like 5 different brand names. It's one of those things that's like on Alibaba or whatever, and different brands will like rehouse the exact same components and put different brand names on it. But like you can get these for $100. I think I paid like 85 for this one, and it punches so far above its weight class. I'm in love with 85 millimeter. Everything looks better in big millimeter except active sport though, but it's not our case. Yeah, I really enjoy longer focal length. I'm shooting on APS-C, so I usually don't go extremely long unless it's like, a super close up. Like say this shot probably wasn't all the way to my 105, but this was probably like, 60 in APS-C, which is like closer to 85 in full frame.
In these vacuum sealed tubes. I don't really know what they do, but they are sweet.
Somebody commented on that line. I don't really know what they do, but they are sweet. Somebody commented, you and 99% of audio enthusiasts. It's like, yeah, tubes are just dope. They glow a little bit and they get hot. It's kind of sweet.
Since I am making $0 speakers out of literal junk, I thought about trying to build my own amp, but I'll save that project for another day.
$0.
So now it's time
My
to
meme. Should call it the $0 speaker rig. Just double down on let's just put $0 in every title and get 80,000 views again.
fire up the speakers and give
If
them
only.
their first test.
Yes, the synth. We love it.
This is sort of
So like this is what I was talking about of the speaker wiring. Like you have to stick the cable in through this hole and curl it around and then twist this cap on. It's like really annoying. So I'm going to rewire it to one of those quick release type things, and that'll make it easier. I'm looking to get a 50 millimeter focal length for my APS-C to get that 85. Yeah, 50 is a solid one. Honestly, for most of my stuff, like I really love the idea of primes, but just the way I shoot, like, I'm working on a project and I don't want to like take my mind out of that flow state to mess with my camera and switch lenses and stuff. So I just shoot zoom lenses like all the time because just for my process, it works better because I take myself out of that flow state less. But like if I'm going to be shooting a dedicated film, which, I would like to at some point, then I'll be all manual focus, all primes all day, right? If I can be actually behind the camera the whole time, then yeah, it's primes all the way. But for the kind of shooting I do, it's zooms.
This is sort of the make or break moment for the project. I know it should work in theory, and I'm confident in my ability to make cases for the speakers, but I don't know yet if the simple amp setup will drive them correctly.
Here's that good old RGB light. We love it. I love this little segment of me sticking it in a vise. Me sticking things in vices that aren't supposed to be in vices is like one of my favorite motifs that I haven't used enough yet, but I did it for another video that isn't public of, I filmed a thing for my buddy Pappas, and it's me like talking to him over FaceTime, and for the duration of the video, it's my phone clamped into the vise and he's on FaceTime just stuck in the vise. And I just love that framing and the like mix of industrial and tech of like sticking things that are normally viewed as fragile or shouldn't be scratched, sticking that in like the most insane, like the most guttural, industrial heavy thing of a vise.
Not only did it work, but it actually sounded pretty good.
Michael said that this was his favorite shot, one of his favorite shots I've ever done, which I do really like this too, being in focus there, and you can see me messing around with the synth in the background and the glow of the amp. It was like kind of unintentional, but it looks cool.
This is my favorite moment.
The one intentional thing about this was having the wire come up over the speaker and then come back up like this. Like it actually in reality went down like this and then like you didn't see it as much, but I wanted it to be like very evident that this wire was like coming around.
In projects like this. The moment when I know
Yeah, to get shots like this where you can see the speaker vibrating to like demonstrate that, okay, right now you are hearing the speaker audio. I just amped the bass way up on the amp to make it so it vibrates more, because naturally you can see the vibrations of a speaker more when it's lower tones. I'm working on a set right now, and we have to carry 5 lenses to cover the focal lengths we want. Definitely takes you out of the workflow and switching. Yeah, I could get more into it on a set, although it's still definitely annoying. But just the way I'm doing stuff here, like a full one-man production of like, I'm trying to make something and work out the problems and logistics of the project itself, and at the same time I'm also trying to do the cinematography of like filming it. I can't be problem solving too many things at once, so I have to just stick it on zooms and make it as seamless as possible.
uncertain technical aspects are solved, and I just get the green flag to go and have fun with the rest of the project.
Back to the ambient pad. This is one of my favorite shots I think I've done in a long time. It's just a perfectly centered speaker with the orange light on one side, the green light on the other, and then I just take out the thing just with the ambient pad coming in. I love it. I love this shot.
Now that I'm past the electronics, I'm in my element.
So this shot is the only one, other than the top-down shots, that was not the 10-18, because this is the only shot that I couldn't place my camera far enough away to get what I needed, right? Because I was only like 3 feet away from the subject in this.
Shoddy woodworking.
That feels kind of Casey Neistat-esque, except like way calmer. Like Casey would just go push everything off, and I'm like gently pushing everything.
I enjoy making things out of wood, because as long as you're being safe with your tools, the stakes are incredibly low.
A rare case of me using a blue marker. I usually use the orange and green motif is pretty strong in the videos, but for whatever reason I used a blue there. And then immediately crossed it out because so I didn't directly mention this in the video, but this shot, I mean, you sort of get the idea, especially if you watched it twice, as some people did, of I'm talking about making mistakes is okay in woodworking because it's like low pressure or whatever. So as I'm saying that, I'm showing myself making a mistake where I just wrote down 6.25 by 7 in. So those are the 2 lengths. The sides will be 7 and then the tops will be 6.25. But I did that wrong. With the what's it called? The thickness of the boards were 3/4 inch. So I needed the interior diameter to be 6.25. So I was like, I'll just add the 3.25 and that'll be my longer faces. But I didn't think about in the moment that like, I have to add it twice because there's 2 boards on each side, right? So it was actually 6.25 by 7.75. So as I'm talking in the voiceover of making mistakes, I'm showing myself correcting my mistake. Your videos look like shots from an expensive movie, but at the same time, they're very homely and cozy. Thank you. Thanks, man. I appreciate that a lot. I do my best to make it look, I guess, professional, but also like approachable, right? Like literally in this moment, you see me like measuring stuff out on my rug. Like it's very much not high production, but it is like I try to shoot things well.
When you make mistakes, maybe you end up with a crooked corner, messy joinery, but it doesn't require a ton of skill to make something functional.
So I also didn't explain this directly. I'm going to experiment more in the next couple of videos with like, all of my videos have this kind of dual narrative of like, I'm making a greater point about making things in general. And then there's also the narrative of what's happening on screen, of the project itself. And I think that works well. And that's like, I think my unique thing that I'm bringing to YouTube. Like, if you're starting a channel and expecting it to have success, you have to have like a thesis statement of like, what am I doing that's interesting or different, right? And I think one of those things that I'm doing that's different is like a project, but talking this dual narrative over it of like this greater idea about making things in general, right? And so it's a tough balance of knowing how much to skew between those two of like, how much should I be talking about this greater point of like, oh, your hobbies should be low pressure. It's more fun to have your hobbies low pressure and be okay with making things that are kind of crappy is the point of this video. And balancing that with, here's what I'm actually doing making these speakers. And so that's something that I'm going to continue to experiment with in future videos is like, okay, maybe this video was too much on the side of the theoretical of talking about, hey, make ugly things, whatever, and not enough about what I actually did making the speakers. So anyway, this moment is another one of those moments that I didn't explicitly explain of, since these boards are relatively thin, they're 3/4 inch, I could cut 2 of them at once. So I'm just drilling 2 boards together on the exact cut lines so that I'm guaranteeing that all of these cuts, at least like this board and this board, are going to be an exact match. So I can use those on the same speaker, and I guarantee that those are, regardless of my measurements, how accurate those were, that those 2 boards are going to be the exact same length by screwing them together and sawing them together. That's just one of those tips that I just got to figure out how much I want to be like, oh, here's woodworking tips and tricks versus here's my emotion behind woodworking. I like the very quiet audio mixed with the kind of wind noise here and outside noise in general. This is me just sticking my camera out of my apartment window. So I think this is more like this is a 105 millimeter on APS-C. So full frame equivalent, it's like, 150 or something. Plus Sony clear image zoom to 1.5 times. So this is actually like a 200 millimeter shot. This is me sticking my camera out the window of my apartment right here. So the camera's here. And I just pointed the mic out the window as best as I could. I'm like, I just hope I get enough audio that you can tell like I'm sawing this wood. And the audio is like surprisingly good. And here comes my synth banger. This is probably the best thing that I've produced on the synth so far. I called Michael about this video, and he thought that I didn't make this song, but I did. He was like, "No, this is way too good. This definitely wasn't him." In the description of all of them, I do credit, which ones are me and which ones aren't me. But in this one, all of the synth thing was me. Every shot is like a poem. Thank you, Bergen. What mic do you use? For voiceover and streaming, the Rode Pod mic with a, whatever this thing is called, the Cloud Lifter. I don't have the Cloud Lifter. It's the Triton Fethead, I think, into the Scarlett interface. This is a really amazing mic for $100 or whatever it costs. It might be cheaper now. I bought it like 3 years ago. Then the mic that I use on camera is the Sennheiser MKE 200, which a lot of people use the MKE 400 or the MKE 600. Those are good mics. They're actually really good mics. Probably some of the best shotgun mics you can get. They sound amazing, but they have external batteries, so you have to make sure you're swapping batteries to actually get your audio, and that's not something I want to be a part of my workflow at all. Like I was talking earlier about, like, I like prime lenses, but I'm not going to use them because, like, I don't want to be switching lenses while I'm in the flow state of making a project, right? So it's the same with batteries and mics. But the Sennheiser MKE 200, the tiny little version of the 400 and 600, has no batteries. It's powered through the jack, and it's tiny. And the other great thing about it is it's got some internal wind resistance due to like its, I forget what it's called, barrel construction or whatever. But it's got internal wind resistance without even needing a dead cat on it. And so that's like a huge thing, because when you've got a giant, like when you've got a Rode Video Micro on top of your camera and you got the giant fuzzy thing, everybody around you, if you're shooting in public or whatever, everybody around you knows you're shooting video and not photo. And it's just like people act weirder and people are like, why are you shooting video? Whatever. And so I really like having a more discreet, compact camera where instead of having this giant fuzzy thing on top of my camera, I can have that same wind resistance, but with a very small package that almost doesn't look like a mic at all. So that's, oh, it's right here, actually. I can show you it. This is the MKE 200. Very small, very discreet. Put it on top of a camera, get freaking amazing audio, and it doesn't even look like you have a shotgun mic on. It's dope.
With the speakers beginning to take shape,
I also love this shot. I'm liking these top-down, perfectly centered shots. I'm still experimenting with this top-down rig. Like having a dedicated top-down camera that's always top-down is a new thing for my production. I really only just started it like halfway through the car video, the Tucson video. And so this was the first video where I was able to like fully utilize it, and I'm really liking it so far. And this shot of like perfectly centered subject in the middle, fairly wide, is like so sick to me, especially with the colored lights on each side. So on this setup, I have a orange light bulb and a green light bulb on either side so that there's always a little bit of dynamic color. And within this shot, my camera's covering it right now, but I also have this RGB LED thing with more orange lights. So it's orange lights and green lights on the other side. Just makes the shadows look crazy and dynamic, and it's pretty sweet. This shot, kind of funny, because it's perfectly top down, you can tell like how square I made the thing. And on the on the one of the three, I think this was the first of the three speakers that I made, is when I was like actually thoroughly shooting the whole thing, and it was a little warped. So actually this shot is slightly skewed. I skewed it like 2 degrees to make it look a little straighter than it was, which is slightly deceitful. But I felt like it wasn't like explicitly lying, because I did, like, the other ones are square. It's just the one that I happened to film at this perfect perpendicular top-down angle was like just slightly off, and I was like, no, somebody's gonna shit on me for that. I was like, I mean, it's still, you can still tell it's like screwed up, like here, which I fixed later in sanding, but I was like, you know, screw it. I can do what I want. It's my video. I'll skew the video 2 degrees so that it looks straighter than it is. Yeah, I've been doing a little videography. It's a lot of fun. I haven't put any on YouTube though. Hey, it's fun. I enjoy videography more than photography for whatever reason. I don't know why. Just things moving. I think I also just like wider aspect ratios. I don't know, but I would like to get into film photography. Seems fun. Just like the limitations of video is more interesting to me, of like, it's harder to get a camera that does like good 4K and, you know, stabilization. And there's so many more factors to making a good video clip. I don't know. This sounds uneducated because I haven't done photography, but I just, like, I know Photoshop. I know that whatever photo I can I can like tweak it. And I just know that like if I got into digital photography, I would tweak the hell out of every photo and it wouldn't be fun anymore. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but like the fact that you can't do that with video makes it like a more approachable hobby to me, that I'm not able to indulge in perfectionism as much as photography, whereas in which I could tweak things forever. Because perfectionism is a hell of a struggle.
With the speakers beginning to take shape, I started to have some...
You're my RGB, says Nathaniel. Really great boyfriend. Uh-oh. You're going to be fighting Bergen in chat. He was making claims as well. Give me a Budweiser. Come over. I've got a handful.
ideas.
Yeah, so this was... I painted the trim, so I sanded off the... there was like foam on this outside because these things are supposed to be mounted behind the front plate, right? Not in front of it. So I'm kind of mounting these weird. There was a little bit of foam on the back, so they're still kind of isolated. But I just sanded all of that foam off, and then I saw these little like cuts in it, these lines, and I was like, that would look sweet if it was like white trim. So I painted the thing white, and I think that adds a lot to the design.
Like I said, I set out on this project with no real plan, and that's the most fun way to do it sometimes.
Sanding. It actually looks good here. Like if I could have sanded longer and sanded all of that old paint off, and like these would have actually looked good. But I don't know. I like the shoddy woodworking, as I said. Leaving that weird, like those paint stains on the sides and making things look a little junk. I like it more. Because then it's like, one of these things is going to be over here on this table, and like, I'm going to be spray painting or something, and I want my things to be like not nice, so that I don't have to worry about like getting paint on stuff. Like, actually during this project, my new FX30 got its first little mark of, it's got some green spray paint on it now, which is like, all right, it's officially mine now. No more selling it.
Indulging in the creativity of whatever pops into your head. For instance, applying stain over top the existing paint on the scrap wood, just to see what it looks like.
Yeah, so I made these because originally I was going to mount the speakers diagonal so that I wouldn't have to like make plates to get screws in the corners, but then I decided like this would look better. So where's that other shot? See like how it's mounted diagonally here? I wouldn't have had to make those corner plates, but I didn't like the gaps as much. So instead I made little triangles so that I could turn it 45 degrees and put screws right through there, which I like in the end. This process of cutting these things, I was doing it with this jigsaw. This Harbor Freight jigsaw kind of sucks. It's like not super reliable. I want to get a nicer one at some point. But actually after cutting this set with the jigsaw, I realized like it works better with, I've got like this little oscillating tool that's a lot quieter, maybe a little slower, but it worked a lot more reliably. So after this set, I switched tools and it worked nicer.
I love when the story of an object comes through in its visual presentation. The previously
B-roll.
painted scrap.
I love this shot because you can see the oh, my camera's blocking it right now, but like the marks, like the measurement marks that I made ended up on the top of this box, which I think is really cool.
Wood, the banged up speakers from the beater car, and their markings from their new life as a studio speaker set.
L. Yeah, I decided to hang on this shot for a while so that like you're not like, why did he make that mark? You gotta realize it's R and L for left and right speakers. The green and orange motif is also a thing that I do in my studio as like a marking system for things. So like green will always mean right or front. So if there's something that needs to be aligned a certain way, I will use green to mark front right or whatever. So like for this table, like the front of the table is painted in green and the back of the table is painted in orange. Not that I'd ever need to really know what direction my table goes, but it's a common thing of like a lot of my USB plugs have it as well, where like I'll put orange on one side and green on the other so that I know which way they go in. Same with SD cards on my cameras, so I'll mark the camera body on the back with like a little orange spot, and then the SD card will be marked with an orange spot so that I will know whichever camera I'm using which way the SD card needs to go in. So the orange and green thing is like a frequent marking system within my life and my studio. Somebody's going to comment about the masking there. Like, I don't care. Just painting something ballsy, no masking. It's kind of fun.
This was a fun little short project, and I'm really happy with how these turned out. They sound better than I expected, and even though they're rudimentary and crazy looking, that's how I
This B-roll sequence is probably the best B-roll sequence I've ever done.
like my gear. A little unplanned, a little experimental, and a little bit junk.
A little bit junk.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. That's the video, man. That's it. This piece to camera was the last thing I filmed for it, which took so freaking long. Because I've had my window, like this window open because the weather's been nice. But I always get like, for the whole duration of this piece of camera, there was like a police thing happening or something, and there was sirens off and on in the background. I also live right underneath the airport's right there. I mean, probably a couple miles away, but the planes take off and they're still fairly low in the air when they cross right over my building. So like every 30 seconds, there's a plane if I'm filming in the day. And so it's always like, I should have just closed the window and it would have been a lot easier, but yeah, that thing it's always a little tough. I'm realizing that I think my process works smoother the less piece to cameras I do, like actually appearing with my face on screen. And I just don't think it's that necessary either. Like, you want a little bit of context of like, okay, who am I listening to? What's this guy? Who is this guy? So you want a little bit of it. But I think as long as there's a couple, you get the idea, and like the voiceover always sounds better. It's always paced better, and it takes less time to shoot. So in the entire video, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's not another one until the very end. So there's 5 times I'm directly talking to camera. Maybe 1 or 2 other times that I'm not talking to camera that you can see my face. The ending shot's so nice. Thank you. Yeah, I try to do these little end shots where I put the info, my kind of internal naming system. It's going to be, speakers or whatever, just some one-word title. The dates of filming to editing, where it was made, tagline made for the sake of making, and then my little name. You can also see me in the reflection of the TV there, which is kind of cool. And you can see the A6600 with the Canon lens. So that's all manual focus, all the top shots. But I haven't minded that too much. I've been increasingly more and more like, since I switched from the Canon M50 to the Sony's autofocus, like that was a big selling point of that for me, switching to Sony for autofocus. And since then, I've basically been using it for everything. But now I'm sort of learning the limitations of it and knowing when to turn it on and turn it off, and when it's better to shoot manual. And so the next video that's coming out, I've actually been shooting a lot more manual focus on it. Because, sometimes I'll have something in the vise here and I'm trying to shoot like the subject in the vise, but I've got a tool over it with my hands and it'll focus on the hands and the tool, and then it'll lose focus on the item in the vise that I'm actually like wanting you to look at. So stuff like that, I'm learning when to use auto versus manual. So yeah, that's the video. I'm proud of it. I think it ends abruptly. So I do want to talk about like the new process, I guess, that I'm experimenting with. I'm really proud of this video and proud of what I was able to make in a week, right? As opposed to my other longer projects. I do feel like it's less polished, but it was interesting because, you know, I made this thing in maybe 4 days and posted it like the day I finished it. And like the comments that were coming in the first like hour or two, for whatever reason, like there weren't more of them than you. It was pretty normal in terms of like the niceness of the comments and the quantity. But for whatever reason, they like impacted me a lot more on this one, which I'm still kind of trying to figure out why. But I was like, really, did my mic just die? Hello? Oh, my headphones got unplugged. But yeah, I was like, I don't know, really, really pleased with the response, and for whatever reason it was more, making this video was more fulfilling, or at least posting this video was more fulfilling, just because posting something that I'm a little more uncertain about. There's the airplanes I was talking about. I'm sure you can hear that. Like making something and posting it that I'm a little more uncertain about and getting a good reception off of that, for whatever reason, is like way more impactful. But I don't know. We'll just have to see how it does. I mean, so far it's not doing as well as the other videos, but also that's kind of like, I feel like I'm making these quicker videos for like the core audience that I have now, and the bigger ones can be more for finding new audiences or whatever. I don't know. I'm still kind of trying to figure out this approach between like these longer, more soulful, once a month type productions versus videos like the speaker video that it's a quicker production and quicker turnaround, less deep of a story, but more like interaction. You know, like if you can expect an Evan Monsma video every week, I think that's where things maybe start to snowball, even if each video does slightly worse. I'm trying to look at the numbers less these days. That's another thing. I'm sure nobody cares that deeply, but numbers wise, I'm trying to look less at them, because it's actually, the numbers are quite confusing. Because like the main two numbers for performance of a video is click-through rate and watch time. So it's like when people see the thumbnail, how much do they click? And watch time, when they do click, how much of the video do they watch? And a lot of my videos are like really good on both of those metrics. So like this latest video is actually the most insane watch time I've ever had, where 80% of the people that click on the video watch from start to finish. And it's like a flat line. Like if you're in after the first 30 seconds, everybody stays, which is pretty crazy. Whereas, you know, for some of my other videos, it's like 60%, 50%, which is still nuts. Any flat line of people not constantly leaving is pretty crazy. But it's just interesting that like the actual stats of the video, like how much people watch, doesn't seem to be affecting the performance. And I think maybe that's a good realization for me to have, is like the views are sort of a lottery, right? Like regardless of how engaging the content is, or like a lot of the times my videos that have worse stats end up doing better. So it's all kind of a wash, and there's sort of no point for me to be checking the analytics. So I might just stop looking at them, because like on paper, the speakers video is the best one that I've done so far. In my opinion, the difference between emotional responses are in time that you spent on making the video. You get as great impact from the comments as when you spend longer time making content. That's probably true. The actual act of making the content on longer videos is more fulfilling, but the response is more impactful the less time I spend. I don't know. It's interesting. Anyway, short stream today. I don't have a ton to talk about. There may or may not be a video next Tuesday. It would be really cool if I could do 3 weeks in a row. But I don't know that it's likely because I'm probably leaving for Indiana on Saturday, and I'm going to be there all next week for the holidays. So I will, there will definitely not be a video the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. There might be a video the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, if I can finish it between, today and tomorrow. The video was so simple, but at the same time genuine. Part of the reason why I love it. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to try to make more and just see how they do after, making 5 or 6 of these. See how the numbers adjust versus what I've been doing. Have a great day, Ev. Don't miss out on updating people about Discord community server. Will do. Yeah, I might work on that while I'm home next week because I'm just going to kind of take some time to relax, not make videos, but maybe work on some more back-end stuff. So maybe we'll make progress on that next week as I'm out of town for the whole week. There's Discord? No, not yet, but I'm planning on making one. For eternity, I'm out. Happy to answer any other questions before I log off, but this is pretty much it for me today. Short stream. Simple video, short stream. Not a ton to talk about. More videos soon. Videos more frequently than before. Holidays are going to be weird. So like the next month or two, it's not going to be anywhere close to a video a week. But yeah, maybe 2 or 3 a month. Bye, Bev. Thank you for your work. Thank you. Oh, I almost dropped my beer. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for hanging out on the stream. Again, apologies to anybody that had notifications on. They got 4 go live notifications because of the internet issues earlier. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching the speakers video. Share it around. Hoping it'll break 1,000 views. And peace, everybody. Oh, I clicked stop recording.